welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission today, well, it's laser-focused and I think incredibly valuable for a lot of people. We're taking all those sources you sent over, the ones about building serious wealth, and we're looking at them through a specific lens.
Right.
How does this apply to someone who feels, kind of stuck, earning an average salary, maybe even a small one?
The everyday person, baby.
Exactly. We're here to unpack that blueprint for financial success without needing a six-figure income as your starting point. And we're tackling that paradox head-on, the one that's just exhausting. You make enough money to pay the bills, right? You're not technically broke.
But you feel like you're just treading water, spinning your wheels.
Totally. And everything out there, the media, society tells you that real financial freedom, owning your time, that's like reserved for the high earners.
The big paychecks.
But the sources you provided, they fundamentally push back against that idea.
Oh, absolutely. We really boiled down a powerful core idea from all this material. It's central to this whole deep dive. It's this. True wealth isn't really about how much you earn. Not primarily.
Okay, interesting.
It's defined much more by how much you manage to keep, how strategically you make it grow, and maybe the biggest piece of this, how quietly you do it, how invisible you make the whole process.
Invisible, okay.
Yeah, we're calling this the six-figure strategy, not because you need six figures come in, but because it gets you those kinds of results, even on a regular salary.
Yeah.
True, honestly, boring, consistent, quiet tactics.
Consistency. That's the key word, isn't it? It seems to be raw income nearly every time in these scenarios.
Every single time. It's the tortoise and the hare, financially speaking.
So by the end of this deep dive, you listening are going to have 10 specific actionable things you can actually do, repeatable strategies.
Yeah, real tools.
We're moving past the generic advice, save more money. We're giving you the actual system to go from that feeling of just scraping by.
That's survival mode.
To actually confidently and, secretly thriving. So let's dive in. We have to start with the mindset, right? That seems crucial for any of this to stick.
Exactly. Before we even touch dollars and cents, we have to talk about the psychology behind it. Because honestly, for the person on a smaller salary, the first hurdle, it's almost always mental, internal.
Right.
And the sources, they jump right on that classic procrastination trap, that little voice that says,
Oh, I'll start saving later when I make more.
Bingo, that lie. I'll start saving when I make more money. It's just like saying, I'll start working out once I'm already fit. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's completely backward, a self-sabotaging loop, like you said.
Totally. And the sources hammer this home. The habit has to come first. It doesn't matter if you start with $5. The habit itself, that consistency, that's the most valuable asset you can build early on.
Okay, that leads us perfectly into strategy one then. Pay yourself first, like a bill collector. I really want to unpack the weight of that metaphor, bill collector.
It's intentionally harsh.
Why so brutal? Because the sources seem to agree. Treat your future self like the most ruthless collector imaginable.
It's about manufacturing urgency.
Because, and this came through so clearly in everything you said, nobody else is showing up to build your wealth for you.
Nope.
Not happening. Your boss won't, the government won't, your friends can't. If you just wait to see what's left over after life takes its cut.
There's never anything left over.
Yeah.
That's the trap. Life expands to fill the income.
Right.
And comparing it to a bill is key because think about what happens if you skip rent.
Oh yeah, immediate consequences. Fines, nasty letters, maybe worse. It's painful.
Right. Immediate, painful. But skipping, saving for your future, the consequences are like way down the road, years, decades maybe.
So it's super easy to just say, I'll skip it this month.
Exactly. You rationalize it.
Yeah.
So you have to create that feeling of necessity. Make that savings transfer feel just as critical as paying your rent. It's the most important bill you have. Let's make it real. Say your take-home pay is, I don't know, $2,500 a month. Pretty average for many people. The sources say before rent, before groceries, before you even think about Netflix or Spotify.
The non-negotiables first.
Yes.
Yeah.
You set up an automatic transfer. Maybe it's $50, maybe it's $100, whatever you can realistically start with. And it goes straight into a separate account, ideally a high-yield savings account or maybe an investment account the day the paycheck hits.
Before you can even touch it. And we should probably define that term quickly for everyone. HYSA, high-yield savings account.
Yeah.
This isn't just your standard savings account down at the local bank branch, right?
Not at all. Huge difference. HYSAs are usually online banks, and the interest rate they pay is, significantly higher, sometimes 5-10 times higher than traditional savings.
Which is huge if you're starting small.
It's crucial. Every single dollar you manage to save starts working harder for you immediately, earning more interest passively. It's like getting a tiny raise on your savings.
Okay, so back to the transfer. Even if it's just $50.
Right, even $50. The amount itself isn't the main point at the start. It's the rewiring, the psychological shift.
Training your brain.
Exactly. You train your brain to see building wealth as a non-negotiable expense, like electricity, not some leftover luxury you might get to if you have a good month.
So you flip the script. Instead of income minus spending equals savings.
It becomes income minus savings equals spending, whatever's left after you pay yourself first. That's what you have available to spend. You automatically adjust because the money's already gone.
And that core insight from the material for Strategy 1, it was so direct. You're not broke because you don't make enough. You're broke because you don't keep enough.
That's the heart of it.
Establishing this automatic habit guarantees you keep something, maybe that target 20% eventually, no matter how big or small the paycheck is. Hashtag tag 1.2, stopping the leaks and gaining clarity. Okay, foundation set. You've paid your future self first. What's next? Because money still seems to evaporate for a lot of people.
Ah, yes, the vanishing money trick.
Which leads us to Strategy 2. Track every dollar like it owes you rent.
This tackles that exact phenomenon head-on. Where does the money go? The sources call these little things the silent assassins of small salaries.
Ooh, dramatic, but accurate.
I think so. Money doesn't just disappear, right? It leaks out, quietly, through dozens of small, often emotionally driven purchases. That $6 fancy coffee every morning, the $10 delivery fee here, the $15 fee there, adds up to maybe $40, $50 a week easily.
Wow.
Those Target runs where you go in for one thing and walk out $70 lighter.
Guilty.
Or maybe it's the, 5 different streaming services you barely use. These little things, maybe $5 or $10 a pop, they add up and absolutely demolish that crucial 20% you just committed to saving in Strategy 1.
And the tough part is, you can't manage what you don't measure. But the source is pretty clear. Most people actively avoid measuring this stuff.
They resist it.
Yeah.
Because deep down, I think people know the reality of their spending might be uncomfortable.
It forces you to face facts.
Which is exactly why clarity is like a financial superpower.
Yeah.
And most people just don't have it. Tracking your money doesn't matter if it's a fancy app like Monarch or YNA or just a simple spreadsheet, even a notebook.
Whatever works for you.
Right. It forces accountability. When you see it right there, black and white, spent $400 on restaurants and takeout last month.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch. You stop lying to yourself. You stop pretending you're like this super frugal home cook because you made pasta once last week when actually you DoorDashed 5 other meals.
The data doesn't lie. And there's a powerful distinction the source has made here. Most people think their problem is a money problem, as in, I just need more income.
Right, the default assumption.
But what tracking often reveals is that it's actually a clarity problem. They don't know where the money they do have is going.
Exactly. The sources basically say, look, until you have tracked every single cent religiously for maybe 3 straight months.
3 months, okay.
You don't really have permission to say, I don't make enough. First, you have to prove that every dollar you currently make is being used intentionally. Hashtag 1.3, the power of stealth living.
Okay, habit established, leaks plugged.
Yeah.
Now we want to maximize the gap, right? The space between earning and spending. Strategy 3. Live like you're broke, even if you're not.
Ah, yes. This is where the sources get, let's call it spicy, with some maybe uncomfortable truths.
Lay it on us.
The observation is stark. Often, truly rich people look poor, while people struggling financially try very hard to look rich.
Counterintuitive.
It is, and this strategy, it demands you detach from the idea that your success needs to be constantly advertised through your spending.
Okay, but let me push back on that for a sec. For someone listening, maybe already feeling stretched on a small salary, isn't there a real social cost here? Constantly saying yo when friends want to do things, family expects certain appearances. Isn't this advice potentially isolating or, I don't know, socially damaging?
That's a really important question. And the sources do address it. They draw a line between the social awkwardness, which might be temporary, and the long-term psychological freedom you gain.
Okay.
The argument is that the look rich pressure, it's mostly an emotional compulsion. It's driven by needing validation from others.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Exactly. That leased Mercedes, the fancy $60 Sunday brunch you post on Instagram, the designer labels, The sources argue these aren't really purchases, they're status traps.
Tropes.
Yeah, designed to keep the middle class on a treadmill, spending money to buy approval from people who, frankly, don't pay your bills. So stealth living isn't about deprivation. It's an intentional, strategic choice. You decide to live comfortably but significantly below your actual means.
So if you make, say, $50,000.
You might choose to structure your life as if you only make $35,000 or $40,000. You deliberately create a bigger gap, a delta between earning and spending. And that gap, that becomes your investment fuel.
And the comparison used in the sources was really eye-opening. It's how people making, say, $40K a year, but living stealthily and avoiding those traps, they can actually build serious capital and retire years earlier than colleagues making $140,000 who just keep upgrading their lifestyle with every raise.
It happens all the time. Lifestyle creep is the enemy of wealth building.
So connecting this back, the freedom you gain is internal.
It's massive. When you detach your ego from your spending, you free up huge amounts of cash, obviously, but also mental energy. You stop playing those status games that consumer culture sets up.
I'll opt out.
You opt out, and suddenly, when you stop caring if your neighbor notices your 7-year-old car, you find you have plenty of money for strategy 1 and 2. You're building real freedom, not just the appearance of it. Financial peace, the sources say, is worth way more than external validation.
Okay, so we've established control over the current income. Now let's talk expansion, bringing in a bit more cash flow, but smartly, without that crazy burnout hustle culture often promotes.
Right, we need sustainability.
Strategy 4, build quiet income streams that don't ruin your life. Hashtag 2.1, building sustainable quiet income.
Yeah, the first thing is to just, debunk the hustle culture propaganda, as the sources put it.
Propaganda, strong word.
Well, this idea that you need a demanding 9 to 5 plus a soul-crushing 6 to 10 side gig just to get ahead.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
Exactly. It's not sustainable for most people. It leads straight to burnout. And burnout kills consistency, which we already said is key.
So what's the alternative?
The goal here isn't necessarily to replace your main job tomorrow. It's about slowly stacking income layers, little streams that provide backup, maybe some breathing room for your main salary, and importantly, streams that are often non-glamorous, maybe low effort once set up, and ideally can make money even when you're not actively working on them.
Okay, passive or semi-passive. What kind of things are we talking about? The sources had some really practical examples, right? Things almost anyone could try.
Definitely. Things like creating and selling a digital product. Maybe it's a really useful spreadsheet budget tracker, or a template for Notion, or a short ebook on a topic you know well. You build it once.
And sell it over and over.
Right. Or maybe it's flipping specific things from Facebook Marketplace, not becoming a full-time reseller, maybe just dedicating a couple of hours a week to find undervalued, in-demand items.
Like quality furniture or specific collectible.
Exactly. High-value quick flips. Or maybe you lean into creative skills, but quietly, licensing good quality photos you take to stock photo sites. Or writing scripts for those faceless YouTube channels that need content.
Things that don't require you to be the face or the brand.
Precisely. Quiet streams. They can often be automated once the initial asset, the photo, the template, the script library is created. And the sources highlighted 2 things for making these work. Niche down and be consistent.
Niche down.
Yeah, pick a specific area where your product or service solves a real high-value problem for a specific group of people. And then just consistent, small effort. Not huge, frantic bursts, followed by months of nothing. Tiny steps, regularly.
Let's talk numbers, though, because sometimes these side things feel like not worth the effort.
Yeah. That's where the math is really powerful. Let's say you build a quiet stream. Not glamorous, it just reliably brings in an extra $200 a month.
Okay. Achievable for many.
Highly achievable. Now, if you take that $200 and invest it consistently, month after month, let's say getting average market returns.
In an index fund, which we'll get to.
Exactly. In 10 years, that quiet $200 a month becomes over $47,000.
Wow. Just from $200 a month.
Yeah, that slow, boring, consistent stacking often ends up creating more wealth than many people have in their actual retirement accounts, people who just relied on their main paycheck.
It really reinforces that point from the sources.
Yeah.
The most successful side income earners, often the quietest ones.
Totally. They're not blasting it on social media. They just built a system, maybe years ago, and let that passive cash flow quietly boost their main savings strategy. Hashtag 2.2, securing savings with financial handcuffs.
All right, so you're paying yourself first. You've plugged the leaks. Maybe you've even got a little extra coming in from a quiet side stream. The savings are starting to build up. Now what?
Now comes the danger zone.
Huh.
What's the danger?
Your own brain. The temptation to spend that growing pile of cash.
Ah, self-sabotage.
Exactly. Which brings us to a really vital strategy, strategy 5. Make your money untouchable. This is just acknowledging basic human psychology. It's a hard truth, but most people, honestly, they don't just need an investment plan. They need financial handcuffs.
Handcuffs. Seriously.
Metaphorically, but yeah,
Yeah.
because you simply cannot, I repeat, cannot reliably out-discipline that instant dopamine hit you get from clicking buy now online or making an emotional purchase when you're stressed or bored.
It's too easy. It's designed to be easy. If your savings are just sitting there, one tap away in your main banking app, it's way too easy to raid them in a moment of weakness. So the sources offer this genius practical trick. You set up a second bank account, crucially, at a completely different bank than where you do your daily checking.
Different bank. Got it.
This is your digital vault. And
Got it.
here's the key. When you set it up, no debit card linked to it, and absolutely no banking app for it on your phone. Delete the app if you accidentally download it.
Whoa, okay, so you're making it intentionally difficult to access. Let's spell out the friction involved here. Why does this work?
The goal is to make getting that money out a deliberate, multi-step, maybe even multi-day process.
Okay.
If you suddenly get the urge to buy something, you can't just tap and transfer. You have to go find a computer, log into a website you rarely use, remember a different password, probably go through two-factor authentication.
Oh, yeah, hassle.
And then you initiate a transfer, which itself might take 3 to 5 business days to actually show up in your main account.
And by then,
By then, that mandatory pause, that handcuff lag time, has probably given your rational brain a chance to catch up. You've calmed down. You realize that $64 gadget on Amazon wasn't actually necessary?
the impulse is passed.
Exactly. So you automate transfers into this vault, your $50, $100, whatever, every payday. It goes out of sight, out of mind. Because you can't easily check the balance on your phone, you kind of forget exactly how much is in there.
And this is how people, especially on smaller salaries, manage to accidentally save real money over time. Like $1,500, $5,000, even $10,000 or more.
Totally accidentally. They didn't rely on superhuman discipline day after day. They relied on a system. Automation plus inconvenience.
That links back to that mindset thing you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, broke people check their balances constantly. Rich people forget they even have one. This helps you become the latter.
Okay, the money's being saved automatically. It's locked away safely in the vault. But just letting cash sit there isn't the whole picture, right? Inflation.
Inflation, the silent thief. Yeah, it just eats away at the purchasing power of your savings over time. Sitting on cash long term is actually a losing game.
So we need to put that saved money to work.
Precisely. Time for strategy 6. Invest, even if it's $5 at a time. Hashtag 3.1 ownership and low-cost investing. And again, let's just tackle that big mental block up front. The idea of, I'll wait until I have enough money to invest.
Which means?
Which usually means waiting forever, because even when people start earning more, what often happens...
Lifestyle creep. The expenses rise to meet the income.
Exactly. They just find more expensive ways to stay stuck. The moment they get a raise, suddenly they need a bigger apartment or a newer car, and poof, the extra money is gone. So the sources argue it's backward thinking. It's the act of investing, even small amounts, that creates the path to having more money later, not the other way around.
So you'll have more money when you invest, not invest when you have more money.
That's the mindset shift. And it boils down to this. Wealth equals ownership.
Explain that. Ownership versus...
Think about how people use, say, $20. Someone maybe stuck in poor financial habits takes that $20 and spends it on something fleeting, a vibe. Take out food, maybe some in-app purchase for a game, renting a movie.
Gone in an instant.
Right. But someone thinking like a wealth builder takes that same $20 and uses it to buy ownership, even if it's just a tiny microscopic slice of business or a whole bunch of businesses through an index fund.
So poor habits buy things, rich habits buy assets, things that can grow or produce income.
Exactly. And for the small investor today, this ability to buy tiny slices is like revolutionary. We need to be clear about how easy this is now, technically.
Okay.
Investment platforms, think Fidelity, Charles Schwab, even apps like Acorns or M1 Finance, they're built for this. They offer fractional shares.
Fractional shares, meaning...
Meaning, if one share of Apple costs, say, $200, you don't need $200 anymore. You can put in $5 or $10 and buy a fraction of that share.
Ah, okay. Removes a huge barrier.
Totally. And often with zero commission fees. So you can consistently put just $5 or $10 a week into a diversified index fund and instantly own tiny pieces of hundreds, maybe thousands of companies.
And let's quickly define index fund again for anyone new to this. It's not picking individual stocks, right?
No, definitely not. An index fund is basically a basket of stocks designed to mirror a specific market index, like the S&P 500, which represents 500 of the largest U.S. companies.
So you're diversified automatically.
Instantly diversified. It's the foundation of passive, low-cost investing. It dramatically reduces your risk because you're not betting on just one company, and you don't need to be a stock-picking genius. So starting small, even just $5 a week, does two critical things. First, it gets you time in the market. Decades of data show that consistently being invested over the long haul beats trying to jump in and out at the perfect time.
Time in the market beats timing the market. Got it.
Right. And second, it trains you emotionally. You get used to the market's natural ups and downs when the amounts are small.
So you don't panic sell later when the numbers are bigger.
Exactly. You build the habit, build the resilience. Because ultimately, if your money isn't out there making more money for you, you're always going to be stuck trading your limited time for it. Hashtag tag 3.2, trading restriction for intention.
Okay, the investing habit is starting. Small, consistent ownership. Now, how do we make sure the rest of the money, the spending money, is being used effectively? Back to budgeting.
Sort of, but with a crucial reframe. Strategist 7. Use the rich math formula. This isn't about deprivation, it's about intentional allocation. We need to really contrast poor math versus rich math, as the sources call it. Poor math is reactive. It's driven by anxiety. It's living right up to the edge of your income.
Like you make $3,000, you spend $2,900.
And maybe you save $100 if nothing unexpected happens. That's budgeting just to survive month to month.
Okay.
Rich math budgets based on impact. It prioritizes wealth creation first.
And the framework the source has strongly recommended is the 50-30-20 rule. Can you break that down?
Sure. It's a guideline, a starting point. 50% of your take-home pay goes towards essential needs.
These being
Housing, basic utilities, essential transportation, groceries, like the absolute must-haves for survival.
okay, 50% needs.
Then 30% is allocated for wants. This is the fun stuff, the non-essentials. Eating out, entertainment, hobby subscriptions, clothes beyond the basics.
Wants 30%. That leaves 20%.
And that critical 20%, that goes immediately towards wealth building. This covers your pay yourself first savings, strategy 1, and your investing, strategy 6.
Okay, 50-30-20 seems simple enough. But, and this is a big but, for many listeners, what if you live in a high cost of living area? What if just your rent and basic utilities eat up like 60 or 70% of your small salary? How does 50-30-20 even work then?
That's the absolute key challenge, and where generic advice often fails, the sources are clear. If your needs are genuinely exceeding 50%, you cannot just ignore it and try to squeeze the other categories. You have to aggressively attack that 50% line first.
Attack the needs category.
This isn't about cutting out lattes at this point. This is about structural changes to your biggest, most boring expenses. Perform an immediate, ruthless audit. The sources suggest 3 main need hacks for small salary earners in this situation. First, utilities. Can you switch providers, bundle services, genuinely reduce consumption? It adds up.
Oh, yeah, utilities.
Second, insurance. Car insurance, renter's insurance. Shop around for new quotes every 6 months. Loyalty rarely pays here. Shopping around almost always saves money passively.
Good tip. Insurance.
Third, and this is the toughest one, housing. Can you get a roommate? Can you move slightly further out from the city center? Can you realistically downsize your living space? If housing is eating 50% plus of your income, it suffocates everything else until you physically reduce that cost.
So the goal isn't painful restriction across the board. It's about being fiercely intentional.
Fierce intention, I like that.
Poor math is that immediate feeling, oof, tough day, I deserve this $20 takeout.
Right, instant gratification.
Rich math thinks longer term. I deserve financial freedom later, and this $20 invested gets me closer to that.
Exactly. It's trading immediate, fleeting pleasure for lasting freedom. And that intentional allocation, using smart math, maybe making tough structural changes up front. That's the quiet discipline that lets someone like an underpaid teacher retire comfortably, while a high-earning influencer who just spends it all goes broke.
Okay, we've got the saving habit, the investing habit, the smart math framework. We're building momentum. Now, the final part, protecting this progress long-term, removing roadblocks, and using systems.
Right. Fortifying the games, making it sustainable. Hashtag tag 4.1, killing the debt traps. Strategy 8 is crucial here. kill the middle-class debt traps. And this one, it requires some brutal honesty with ourselves because we're talking about financial products and habits that are completely socially acceptable, even encouraged.
But are actually destroying wealth potential.
Exactly. They're designed to keep people stuck, paying interest forever.
We should probably name some names here based on the sources. What are these traps?
Oh yeah, the sources were blunt. Buy now, pay later services. They called them predatory scams dressed up as convenience. Oof. Car leases, often labeled as like legal robbery, you pay a fortune and owe nothing at the end.
Right.
And just making minimum payments on credit cards, highway theft in legal form, basically financing the bank's profits with your future. We have to understand the math behind why this is so damaging. Calling it theft is emotional, sure, but the numbers make it rational. If you're carrying debt on a credit card charging, say, 24% APR,
Which is pretty common, unfortunately.
sadly, yes, that 24% interest you're paying is actively working against all the good work you're doing, saving and investing.
How so?
Well, let's say you're super proud because your high-yield savings account, Strategy 5, is earning a fantastic 5% interest.
Great.
But if you're simultaneously paying 24% interest on credit card debt, you're experiencing a net loss of 19% on that money, compounded constantly.
Oh, wow. You're losing money overall? Your savings effort is just feeding the credit card company.
Precisely. That's why the sources are so hardcore about the core discipline. If you cannot pay for it in cash or pay off the credit card balance in full that same month, you simply cannot afford it. Period.
Now, there are exceptions, right? Not all debt is automatically bad.
Correct. Important distinction. The sources generally make exceptions for good debt that helps you acquire appreciating assets or significantly increase earning potential.
Right.
A reasonably sized mortgage with a low interest rate to buy a home. Sensible financing for a reliable, used car that you need for work. Maybe student loans if they genuinely led to a valuable degree that boosts your income significantly.
But consumer debt, finance furniture, vacations, electronics.
That's the killer debt. That and constantly rolling credit card balances. Those need to be priority number one to eliminate. Attack the highest interest rate debt first and aggressively pay it down. Because ultimately, debt is the chain. It keeps people with smaller salaries feeling stuck. If your lifestyle, your car, your clothes, your trips is constantly being financed, your freedom is basically owned by the lender. You're working to make payments.
So stop buying payments. Buy assets.
Stop buying payments, stop buying things that go down in value, and definitely start buying stuff just to get approval from people who won't be there when the 24% interest bill comes due. Hashtag 4.2, the art of financial invisibility.
Okay, debt chains are being broken. You're building momentum. How do you protect this newfound financial health from other people? And maybe yourself. Strategy 9, practice stealth wealth.
This goes back to that rich people look poor idea.
Uh-huh.
Challenge the image you have in your head of what a millionaire looks like. Is it the Lamborghini and designer sunglasses?
Probably. For many people, that's the media image.
Right. But statistically, the actual millionaire next door, the person with a 7-figure net worth, they often look incredibly boring.
Boring.
Yeah, driving a well-maintained 10-year-old Honda or Toyota, wearing comfortable jeans from Costco. Their wealth isn't flashy. It's quietly compounding in low-cost index funds they probably haven't looked at in months.
They look normal or even poor precisely because they prioritize building wealth over displaying it.
That's stealth wealth, building serious financial security without making it anyone else's business. No flexing, no spotlight, no neon sign saying, "I'm rich."
What are the practical benefits of being financially invisible like that?
Huge benefits, especially counteracting those pressures we talked about earlier. First, it protects you from lifestyle creep.
How so?
If nobody knows you got a raise or a bonus, you don't feel that external pressure or even internal temptation to immediately upgrade your car, your apartment, your vacation plans. The money just quietly goes towards your wealth-building goals instead.
It keeps your spending baseline low.
Second, it protects you from, let's be honest, drama and leeches.
Ooh.
Yeah. If friends or family suddenly perceive you as the rich one, expectations can change. You might feel pressured to lend money, pay for everything, or face resentment. Stealth avoids all that.
Keeps things simpler.
Much simpler. Your financial decisions stay rational, driven by your goals, not by social obligations or keeping up appearances. The real flex, the sources argue, isn't the fancy car. It's financial peace.
Knowing you're debt-free.
Owning your time, not losing sleep over a $300 emergency car repair. That's the freedom stealth wealth buys you. Quietly, without all the noise and comparison. Hashtag, tag 4.3, relying on systems, not willpower.
Okay, this brings us to the final piece. The glue that holds all these strategies together long term. Strategy 10. Automate everything. Then forget about it.
This is arguably the most crucial one for making it stick. It's the honest admission that underpins sustainable success.
What's the admission?
That you are human. You will not always be disciplined. You won't always be focused or motivated. Your willpower is a finite resource.
Yeah.
It drains throughout the day, especially after a long workday or dealing with stress.
You can't rely on feeling motivated 24/7.
Exactly. But you know what is reliable 24/7? Your bank's automatic transfer system. Computer servers don't get tired or tempted.
Huh. Good point.
The less you have to actively decide to do the right thing with your money day after day, the higher your chances of actually winning long term. You're not trying to become a full-time financial analyst, constantly checking charts and moving money around. You're trying to build a smooth, efficient, set it and forget it system that quietly makes you wealthier in the background.
So what specific things should be automated? Walk us through the stack.
Everything possible. The ideal setup starts with the paycheck split. This is where the instant your paycheck hits your account, it's automatically divided and sent to different places before you can spend it.
Your employer might do this, or you can set it up with your bank.
Right. So maybe 20% immediately goes to that digital vault HYSA, strategy 5. Another chunk, maybe 5–10%, goes directly to your retirement investment account, strategy 6.
And only the remainder lands in your main checking account.
Exactly. The remainder is what you have designated for your needs and wants based on your 5E30/20 plan.
So automate the saving transfers, automate the retirement contributions. What else?
Yeah. Automate your bill payments, rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, any debt payments you're tackling. Set them up to go out automatically on specific dates.
Why automate bills too?
It removes the risk of late fees, missed payments hurting your credit, and importantly, it gives you a crystal clear picture of exactly how much discretionary money you truly have left after all obligations are met. You eliminate the guesswork and the potential for accidentally spending bill money. It all comes down to this. Discipline is fantastic when you have it, but automation is greater because automation works even on the days you feel lazy, tired, or tempted to splurge.
Build the system once.
Yeah.
Invest the time up front.
Yeah.
Build the system, set it, double check it's working, and then forget about it.
Fair.
Let the process run quietly in the background while you focus your limited willpower and energy on actually living and enjoying the life you're building. Stress-free. #Tautro. So just to wrap up this deep dive, building real wealth, especially on a smaller salary, it really boils down to replacing those old, often reactive habits.
Replacing them with a disciplined, intentional, and quiet system. One that's focused on ownership, on tracking where the money goes, on saving first, and automating everything.
Wealth isn't just about the paycheck size. It's the result of those consistent, daily, often boring actions.
Exactly. Day by day, not paycheck to paycheck.
And the core message that just screamed from all the sources you pulled together was this. You don't necessarily need to earn dramatically more to become wealthy. You need to behave differently with the money you already have.
Behavior over income. It's about setting up the right systems, practicing that stealth, and honestly just being patient. And maybe here's a final thought, something provocative for you listening to chew on. We talked about stealth wealth. Think about how much energy people spend comparing themselves online.
Oh yeah, constantly.
The quietest people online are very often the ones absolutely crushing it financially offline. So what if you made a conscious, strategic choice starting today to just stop? Stop comparing your life, your spending, your progress to anyone else's.
Just tune it all out.
Completely. How much faster could you then implement strategy 3, stealth living, strategy 5, financial handcuffs, and strategy 9, stealth wealth? How much quicker could you start accumulating real freedom if comparison wasn't draining your focus and your wallet?
That's a powerful place to start. Consider that your starting line. You've got the blueprint now, the 10-part, 6-figure strategy to make whatever salary you have work much, much harder for you. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
See you next time.